2 years ago, a couple here in Halifax almost bought a home for around $420,000. They were pre-approved, they loved the house, they were ready to make an offer, but someone told them something and it changed everything. Wait 6 months, the market is about to crash. So they waited, and guess what? That home, it was sold tens of thousands of dollars over the price we had negotiated. Today, I'm gonna tell you why this keeps happening in Nova Scotia and whether buying now or waiting for a crash is actually the smart move. Because the truth about the Nova Scotia housing market right now is very different from what most headlines are telling you. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Logan Tomczyk, your real life realtor here in Nova Scotia. If you love learning all things real estate in Nova Scotia, then subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Now let's dive into the video. If you're thinking about buying a home in 2026, you're probably asking the same question that I hear every single week. Should I buy now or should I wait for the market to crash? And honestly, it's a fair question because buying a home is likely the largest financial decision that you'll ever make. So in this video, I'm gonna break down what's actually happening in the Nova Scotia housing market, whether a crash is realistic, and the one mistake buyers make when trying to time the market so perfectly. And later in this video, I'll tell you the full story of Dave and Emily, the couple who waited for the crash that just simply never came. Right now, in Nova Scotia, buyers are stuck between two complete opposite fears. Fear number one, what if I buy now and the market crashes next year? No one wants to buy at the top and watch their home value drop. But fear number two is just as real. And it's, what if I wait and prices, they go up again? Now, in this market, if you've been watching the headlines for the past few years, you've seen exactly how fast these fears can shift and how much this change can really happen in the housing market. I talk with buyers every week who feel completely stuck between both of these situations. They want to make the right decision for themselves, their families, then make sure that everything fits with their lifestyle. Who wouldn't? But the uncertainty keeps them frozen in place. And unfortunately, that hesitation can sometimes cost people years of progress towards their first home. So let's talk about what's actually happening in Nova Scotia right now. You might have seen some headlines saying that the housing market is slowing down, and that's true. But slowing down, it doesn't mean crashing. It just means that after several years of extreme rapid growth, the Nova Scotia housing market is doing something very normal. It's rebalancing. It's the pandemic that we saw, which created a surge of demand. It's low interest rates that have people from moving from other provinces, and having historically low inventory doesn't help the situation. And it all created a perfect storm for prices to only go up. But as interest rates increase, the market cools. And instead of homes selling instantly with dozens of offers, things become a little bit more balanced. Prices adjusting slightly, but here's the important thing that most headlines leave out. The fundamentals about the Nova Scotia market haven't changed. We still have population growth, limited housing supply, strong demand in cities like Halifax, Bedford, and Dartmouth. They aren't going away. And those fundamentals are making a dramatic market crash seem extremely unlikely. Now, let's talk about the strategy a lot of buyers try, and it's timing the market perfectly. The idea, it's simple. Wait until prices hit the absolute bottom and then buy at the perfect time. The only problem with this strategy is no one really knows where that bottom is. It's just something that we talk about, and when we see a little dip in the prices, we assume it's going to keep going, but that's not always the case. And by the time it becomes obvious that the market has reached its lowest point, well, prices then are usually already starting to rise again. It's very similar to the stock market, where trying to perfectly time the market is incredibly difficult, which is why there's a phrase investors use all the time. Time in the market beats timing the market. Real estate is usually a long-term investment. Over the long run, property values, they tend to rise even though there may be short-term fluctuations along the way. Now, that's where the story of David and Emily, it becomes really important here. A few years ago, I met David and Emily. They were looking to buy their first home in Lower Sackville, and they'd been renting for years and were excited to finally own something of their own. Now, eventually, they found a fantastic detached home that checked off all of the boxes. They absolutely loved it. Quiet street, nice backyard, perfect place for them and their family. The home was also still new. The new home warranty, it actually just ended a few years before we viewed the home. The price was around $525,000. It was a stretch for them financially, but still doable, still in their comfort zone. That's the most important part here. They were pre-approved, and again, the price was well within their budget. They were ready to make an offer. We were even negotiated the price lower than what the asking price was. But then something happened that I see all the time. They read a news article about the impending crash of the Ontario housing market, and they thought that that crash in Ontario would transfer over into Nova Scotia. Don't buy now. The market is about to crash, is what they were told in this headline. So David and Emily, they decided to back out of the deal and wait. They thought they were making a smart decision. 2 weeks. Took 2 weeks later, that same home in that same neighborhood, they were selling for over what the seller's asking price was. The home that they loved, that's gone now, long gone. And the price range, they just now couldn't afford it because the whole neighborhood had increased its pricing. The hardest part, it wasn't just the numbers. It was the realization that they had been so close to owning their first home and they watched it slip away. The worst part about the whole situation is that story happened in 2022 and the Nova Scotia market hasn't crashed yet and doesn't show any signs of crashing. David and Emily now see homes that are more expensive. They experienced more stressful situations from starting the whole process over again, and that process took much longer than it needed to. Their story is one that I see again and again and again. People waiting for the perfect moment, a crash that never quite arrives, and the market that slowly moves ahead without them. So what should you do instead of trying to time the market perfectly? I always tell my clients, you need to focus on the things that you can control today. Ask yourself a few questions. Can you comfortably afford the payments at today's interest rates? Do you plan to stay in the home for at least 5 years or even longer? Does the home fit your long-term lifestyle? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then short-term market fluctuations become much less important. And because real estate is not just an investment, it's also a place you live your life. This is some place that you call home, that you make memories here. And when you approach the decision with the right strategy and good guidance, there is still incredible opportunities in the Nova Scotian housing market. If you're currently trying to decide whether to buy now or to wait, just comment the word market below and I'll personally reach out to you to work on a buying strategy that fits your needs for your next move. And if you're serious about buying a home in Nova Scotia this year, you can book a free strategy call with me where we can look at your situation and build a plan that works for you. My Google Calendar link is below in the description of this video as well. Check it out. Because the goal here, it isn't to perfectly time the market. The goal is to make a smart decision with the right information. That's what we're working with here. I'm Logan Tomczyk, your real life realtor, and I want to help make your realty dreams happen. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing in this housing market.